Now, as we follow what's happening in Afghanistan, we're also following what our country plans to do going forward.
Now, this morning, we're joined by Congressman James Comer, Kentucky's 1st District, live right now. Congressman, thanks for being here with us.
Thanks for having me on.
What does the U.S., in your opinion, need to do next?
That's a great question. This is a complete disaster, a complete failure in leadership. I think moving forward, I hope that the United States has learned a lesson that you just can't go in most of the countries around the world and try to nation build and have those new nations resemble what we have here in the United States. It's just not their culture. But moving forward, I think the United States is going to have to keep an eye on Afghanistan, unfortunately. We have now, because of the failure of the withdrawal, armed the Taliban with our own weapons, our own tanks, our own airplanes. The Taliban's clearly been communicating with Iran, Russia, and possibly China. So it's a good day for our adversaries and a bad day for the United States. We're just going to have to keep an eye on Afghanistan and be prepared for airstrikes if they start building terrorist havens and things like that.
Now, Congressman, whenever President Biden first announced that the U.S. would be withdrawing from the country, you'd said it's something you agreed with, but something that you did not like the idea of was him setting a specific date. Is this one of the reasons maybe why you were worried about seeing what we've seen the last few days?
This is a perfect example of why you don't set a specific date and time. Okay, this is when we're going to be withdrawing the troops. I support withdrawing the troops from Afghanistan. I've been very vocal about that in the 4 years I've been in Congress. But there was a better way to withdraw the troops. This is a complete breakdown in leadership from our military. This is a failure of our intelligence community. From what we were briefed over the past 48 hours as members of Congress on what happened, was the State Department and the Pentagon honestly thought those Afghan troops that the United States has spent 19 years training and trillions of dollars training and funding, they thought that they would put up some resistance. And the fact that they basically never fired a shot and took off and ran, and now we're hearing reports that maybe the Taliban had already paid off some of the generals in the Afghan army. I mean, it's very discouraging to see such a breakdown in our intelligence community and such a failure in leadership from the Department of Defense.
Now, what do you as a member of Congress have to say to families who've sacrificed their lives and time in Afghanistan?
Well, I think that if you look at the original intent of why we went to Afghanistan in the first place, it was to obviously kill Osama bin Laden and destroy terror cells and to ensure that we don't have another September 11th attack on the United States. If you look at that, then the goal was accomplished. The problem is they never had an exit strategy. It was much like Vietnam. You have to, once you achieve your objective, you have to move on. And for whatever reason, the last 4 presidents have not wanted to pull out. I think they knew when they pulled out that the country would probably fall. There are just certain countries around the world that'll probably, unfortunately, never be democratic nations. But I think that the troops that gave their lives, they deserved a better exit than this, to see their work and their sacrifice, just go up in flames. But I think that they achieved the main objective, and America's a safer place now because of the sacrifice and the great work that our troops have performed over there over the past 20 years.
Now, Congressman, it was earlier this year that basically intelligence officials had given the warning that the Taliban would be able to take over Afghanistan. I think that the speed of this is what has surprised some of those people who had predicted this. We knew this may happen. What does it mean for the U.S. now with the Taliban in control? Say for Congress, do we recognize them as the government of Afghanistan? Do you think that's the plan going forward?
Well, I hope not. The Taliban historically has been a regime that you can't trust. They continue to fund terrorist organizations. The way they treat women and children is inhumane and unacceptable. So at this particular moment in time, I don't think the United States should recognize the Taliban. Obviously, they're going to have an opportunity now. It looks like they're in complete control of the government. And as American citizens and as members of Congress, we can sit back and I guess, see how they govern. But at this particular moment in time, I would never vote to recognize the Taliban as a government.
Well, Congressman Comer, thanks for the time this morning. We appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks for having me on.